Today, I am proud to announce that we have our family perspectives on public education and most importantly, school choice. And I've got the president, the co-founder of KCK 12 with me today. And thanks for coming, AB.
Yeah, thank you. Pleasure to be here. I'm excited. I think this is very timely. This morning, I was on a presentation with a district down in the Dallas area, and there's a lot of concern about vouchers and the state of competition, and sometimes it can get very demoralizing on what to do. You've got declining birth rates, you've got people being priced out. Now you've got another layer of competition to have to deal with, and they're afraid.
Yeah.
Budgets are being impacted, and what do you do?
Yeah. And I think like, let's don't let fear control us. And I know that all the people on here won't do that. It's okay to be afraid, but then you have to be brave, right? You can only be brave if you're a little afraid. And I did do a deep dive onto the Texas voucher program in one of our former podcasts. Elizabeth, has that been posted yet?
Yes, it has.
Okay. So if you want to know more about the voucher program in Texas specifically, we have a podcast on that and you go check it out on your own. And I would say this, Elizabeth, our producer and extraordinary human being, is going to be fielding questions and comments. So we'll get to as many as that as we can. And Elizabeth, you can, just as always, you can interrupt me if it makes sense. Okay, if it makes sense. So let's rock and roll and let's start kind of digging into these results. And I do have some. We do an annual national poll on the same topics, right? So we've been doing that poll now for, is it 9 years, Adrian?
9 years.
9 years we've been doing the national public education and family perspectives on school choice and their options and all that. And this year we started to do a few deep dives. So we did Florida. Now we're going to do Texas. And if you're on here and we haven't done your state and you'd like us to, let Elizabeth know. Maybe we'll jump in there and do another state poll. All right. Because we really believe that intelligence is the key to tap down fear and concern and to give you an actionable plan to go forward, advocate for yourselves and crush it. Right. So we want to give you all the intelligence we can. All right. So I got to click on the screens and everything, Adrian. Is complex. All right. I'm going to take us off the screen so everyone can see the full video right now as we run through this. These are top line findings. We'll get to those as we go. If you want the entire deck sent to you, we'll have it on our website at some point. Elizabeth can send it off to you. So just send it to her and we can send you the full deck for your reading privilege. But today we're going to hit the highlights, about 30 minutes or a little less, and take as many questions as we can. All right. Now, Adrian, I'm a scientist, and I got a lot of scientists that listen to these webinars, and they always are fixated on the methodology. And I am super impressed that people aren't just blindly looking at polls, because polls and surveys, they're kind of tricky wickets, right? I mean, if they're not accurate, you can be led astray. So garbage in, garbage out type stuff. Know this, we do the polling in a way that allows us to do our job. And since we're in the recruitment business for only public schools, we have to have good data because we put our money where our mouth is. So know that this is the same kind of data we have, but on a statewide level instead of a district level, because we have to know this in order to affect our jobs. And like I said, we put our money where their mouth is, so it's got to be good. But the methodology is important, right?
That's correct.
And statistics are a little weird. We follow the American Association for Public Opinion Research. We typically do a larger sampling size than they request in the state of Texas to get a plus or minus 4.9%. They say it's 400 completes. I like to double that. It doesn't really, it's weird because, statistics are so weird, is it doesn't actually change much the margin of error, but increases the level of confidence. It says on the poll that the confidence level is 95%, but it's with 800, it's closer to 97. Okay. So that means it's a pretty good poll, right? But it's not a poll for your individual community. El Paso is very different than Fort Bend. Fort Bend is very different than Dallas, or say, it's in every community is a little different, but we have found a lot of common threads in most districts. And so I think it'll still be very helpful. And especially in a statewide, because the media market will change opinions from time to time. This poll was conducted in May, kind of completed in June. We're presenting it in June. So it's really timely. All right. And I should say this. Who completed the poll? Only caregivers of K-12 students. That means they had to have a student from kindergarten to 12th grade living in their household. It could be a grandparent, it could be a parent, it could be a guardian, or whatever the case. We did not poll voters. All right. So I think that that's an important distinction. Okay. Because politicians they love to poll voters because the voters are the ones that have impact. We poll families of children in play right now that are in school because those are our targets. Those are the ones that are the most important to us. Mind you, my mother doesn't have a school age children anymore. Don't really care what her opinion is in this regard.
Right.
But she is a voter. And so politicians may not want to use this data exactly in the same way. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
All right. So yeah, it's families. And I would say that a couple would says, I've been saying a lot of would says, is that this was online and live phone calls. We like to hit it deep so that we get a lot of people's opinions. Some people don't respond to phones. Some people don't respond to online. So you want to do a mix, right? Margin of error to be safe is 4.9%. That means every number on here is plus or minus 5%. Think variance. So if a number says 50, it could be 45 or it could be 55. And if people want to dig into the methodology, I can do another podcast or something on that and let people really understand the science because I'm a nerd and I love to teach this stuff. And I've been doing polls for 20 years now. I'm getting so old, AB. I'm getting so old. Okay. Once again, I always like to put this one chart in, which is, what is it not? It's not a general public opinion poll like you'll see a lot of people do. It's targeted to adults that are responsible for school-age children. I'm going to say that again because we did a Florida poll maybe a month ago.
Yeah, that's correct.
And I got so many questions afterwards. Even though I said this, I didn't emphasize it enough. And I guess I talked too fast. Okay. And the last point on the methodology is, yes, we didn't just poll parents of public schools. It's home, virtual, non-enrolled, private, charter. We wanted to hit a mix, and it's roughly close to the way the demographics are set up actually in the state of Texas. There's a little variance here, but it's a nice mix of rural, urban, suburban, public schools, 75%. Yeah, there are 4.5 million students in Texas public schools. There's only a few 100,000 aren't. So that percentage is probably actually underinflated for public schools, but I wanted to make sure that we heard from these other families, right? We want to get everyone's opinion, right? But it's not skewed one way or the other. Like we didn't poll, 90% private. They're going to have a slightly different opinion than the common thing.
That's
okay.
Correct.
All right. Sweet. All right. Let's get into it. All right.
I'm anxious to hear.
I know. So you haven't.
I had seen it. Yeah.
Adrian hasn't seen this poll. I've been keeping it tight because some people leaked the Florida poll out last time. They did. Some people leaked the Florida poll out last time, and I was like, I don't want to leak it. Yeah, let's make sure people get it today. But we'll send it to you afterwards if you want it. All right. Let's talk satisfaction. This is an interesting question because it's been the hallmark of companies, businesses, schools, DMV, whatever. Are you satisfied? Are you satisfied? It's a nice baseline. I think if you're going to do your own poll and your own research, you got to determine if they're satisfied. But too many polls stop there. Okay, we're not stopping there because it does not paint an accurate picture. It paints a nice starting point. Now, this number, 65% right here, 65% of Texas families that have children, I'm going to stop saying that over and over again, but I just want to emphasize it, is that are satisfied with their current school. Now, this means 65% of private, 65% of charter, 65% of public, 65%. That is distinctively different than the national poll and other states I polled. It is a dramatic drop. From the national poll, nationally, 85% of families are satisfied with their school choice. 85%. That's of the current one, 2026, 2027 national poll that we conducted a few months ago. This is a 20-point drop. That is significantly. See, there's my speech impediment. Thank you, public schools, for helping me with my speech impediment. I'm still working on it. That's significant. 20 points is a major drop. And I'm gonna take a little latitude here. We didn't do focus groups to really flush that out, but because of all my years of experience, I think a lot of that is driven by the media, social media, traditional media, whatever it is. And school choice in Texas has been such a big topic the last couple of years, driving into the new school voucher program, that will drag that number down. It will drag just because it's on the radar. More bells and whistles are going off. And so you've got to watch if you do a survey after a national disaster, you're going to get a drop in some satisfaction scores. If you do it after the great, NFL football team won, if the Dallas Cowboys won the Super Bowl and you
Right.
pulled satisfaction scores in Dallas, it's going to be a little higher.
Right.
In Tampa Bay, it's going to be lower.
That's right.
Right. So,
Yep.
but if Dallas wins, those people are going to be excited or, whatever. So I think that this is driven, through a lot of media. We'll repeat the survey next year, and I'd like to see how that number floats. But notice satisfaction is not the entire score, the entire picture. All right. I love this question. We've been asking this question for 9 years. Are you considering changing schools next year? Just, hey man, wherever you are you considering it? Ooh, 50% are in motion. 50%. Now, when we started doing this poll nationally, it was in the 30s, and it's been creeping up and creeping up and creeping up. 50% is higher than the national average. Slightly, it's still within that margin of error, so it's roughly the same, but 50% are considering. It doesn't mean they're going to leave, but it doesn't mean they're going to stay either. And so even if you have 80% satisfaction scores, doesn't mean they're going to stay. And I'm going to continue to reinforce that lesson. So what we don't want to do is get complacent. We don't want to rest on our laurels, so to speak. 65% are satisfied, but in that 65% of the 50% that are thinking leave, probably 35 of those percent are definitely leaving, but you still have another 20% that are satisfied, that are considering leaving.
Yeah.
I mean, just remember that satisfaction score alone, it just doesn't cut it anymore. I mean, I may be super satisfied with my breakfast restaurant that I love to go to, and I am. But if another one opens up down the street, Brian's going to go try those pancakes and eggs. I mean, I'm going to look. It's America, and that's what this is a reflection on. No longer are satisfaction scores enough. Hopefully I made that point.
As a public school, does that give you an opportunity to go out and engage with some of those families with the numbers being that they're open and willing to listen?
Well, first off, forget about the numbers.
Mhm.
Forget about the polls and the surveys and the data and the intelligence. As human beings, we all know that we need to connect with our customers. We need to be building trust with them all the time. We need to be connecting with them and communicating with them. So if your satisfaction score is 95%, you better be reaching out to them and building trust anyway. If it's 5%, well, you might want to increase your efforts a little bit, right? But no matter what, you need to be building trust, and trust is built by being close.
That's correct.
That's more complex than that, but that's a simple formula. All right. So, all right. I rank this next question. Texas public schools are a mixed report. How would you rate the overall quality of public schools? Now, remember, this is all parent types. 60% rate the public schools excellent or good. Excellent or good feels stronger than satisfied, doesn't it?
It does.
And remember, you got private school parents and all these other parents. They said 60% excellent or good. I'm good. 30% fair, and only 10%, by the way, poor. Only 10%. That's pretty low. It's I think Texas is so unique because looking at all this data, and that we do a lot of district polls, like individual district polls for just that community. So I'm kind of thinking about those numbers in my head with the national polls and some other states we've done. And the thing that jumps out at me is they kind of like their public schools. I mean, 60%, 44% good, 14% excellent. That's pretty significant. And really, the way to think about this is, the way I think about it is this 14% right here. We have 14% excellent, 10% bad. As long as that delta, it's more excellent than poor, you're doing pretty good. Even if like you poll an individual's, Adrian, at lunch, I polled you.
Right.
Yeah, 14% excellent, 22% poor. No, but that's the reverse.
Right.
That's not what you want.
Right.
You want to keep that number a little. There's always going to be people that you cannot please. And the magic number is about 11%. Okay. I mean, I've done so many polls where no matter what you ask people, 8 to 11% of the people just hate everything. No, they're just never satisfied. They're always frustrated. I mean, you just can't please them. There's nothing you can do. Luckily, it's not 30% of the people. So if you strip away 10%, they're gone. That means the max is really 90, right? The max is 90. So 60 feels a little bit better.
It does.
Right? Yeah, 60 feels better because 90 is the max now. So really 60 feels like 70, right? which is not great, but it's not as bad as like 60% you think you're failing. You're not failing, you're not failing, you're not failing. These are just big general overviews. Okay. So, but that number is higher than in a lot of states. It's higher than a lot of communities. So I think that's a good sign. I mean, despite all the voucher choice and school choice and all that stuff that's going on, people still believe in public schools. There's a real opportunity there. All right. So this is the one. This is the number. This is the number I want to really dig into with people. And this is why the satisfaction scores, Adrian, just they don't matter anymore. I mean, those two extremes. They matter, but a satisfied parent will not be kept.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's just,
It won't keep them.
It will not keep them. It will not keep them. And so, favorabilities won't keep them. Americans like to shop. Americans like choices. And I've said this before. We live in a great country because we had the PT Cruiser. Do you remember that car, the PT Cruiser?
Remember.
That's the ugliest car I've ever seen in my entire life. But it lets me know I live in a free country because somebody built it and somebody else bought that. Good for them. I wouldn't be caught in that car. But man, it lets me know we're free and people have choices and people picked it, And so Americans love choices. You know that Dr. Pepper now is like one of the top selling drinks that surpassed Pepsi.
I didn't know
It's
that.
a choice.
Yeah.
It's a choice.
Yeah.
Isn't that great? Okay. So here's the thing. I just saw my text ping up. I'm like, Brian, get to the point. I'm working on it. Is it people, too many people have my cell number. I think that's funny. 68% said they would be likely to explore a new school option. 68% are open to leaving. Even though you got 65% that said they're satisfied. Even though they're satisfied, a majority are still thinking about shopping. And that's what's really important. Would you be likely to explore? That's the term. We use explore very, very, very carefully here because I don't want to lead, right? And straw polls are really dangerous, right? You see straw polls and like, if you heard that this politician cheated and stole, would you be less likely to vote for them? That's kind of pushing somebody. No, of course not. That's pushing somebody to answer a certain way. Explore feels more open. And we had to test this word a lot earlier in our cycle. Explore just means I'm not going to leave. It doesn't look, don't panic. Nobody said they're leaving. They're going to. Nobody said they're going to leave, but they're open. And this is why presenting your best foot forward is so critical. This is why being in the game and accepting the new reality, as I say, that school choice is not going away. It's here to stay. We have to be competitive. And to be competitive, you have to make sure you're presenting options to families as they explore. By the way, private school children are exploring coming back to you. Charter schools,
That's an opportunity.
Homeschool.
Yes.
They're all opportunities, as long as we don't let fear drive us, right? The other thing we like to test, and this is, look, this when our parents start looking, I've debated sharing this with people like this intelligence because we start to really get into our methodologies of how do we recruit and retain children,
Right.
In public schools. How do we do it? But I was like, look, man, and Adrian, I know we battled about this before, and we just decided that if it adds value to them, just give it away.
Right.
Okay. Parents are shopping earlier than you think. Families are shopping earlier than you think. 68% January to June. But by the way, they're kind of shopping all year. I mean, there's a couple dead months like May, graduation, it gets a little weird, because people are kind of wrapping up. They're not really doing a lot of shopping. At least that's what we found. But man, they're shopping earlier. They're making their buying choice earlier. It's harder to get them off a choice once they've committed to change. So they could be in your school right now, but in January and March, they could have made a decision to leave because you haven't talked to them. And if you kind of start talking to them in July and September, it might be too late. And that's the time thing you've got to be really careful with. Campaigns need to be run year long to build trust and build connections with families year long. And it's a lot of work. And I'm sorry, so they're starting earlier and 68% are shopping too. Right. So makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. When I think about some of the school choice program offerings that open up in November and December, and I look at the, competition hosting open houses in late October, early November, I think it sets a precedence that, we want to make sure that we have a seat at the table when these parents are making those final decisions.
Yeah, and I think that the way that we approach the school choices, school choice is great. It's great, whatever. But I mean, I need the rules to be fair. I dig into that in the podcast on Texas. The rules aren't fair right now, but it's we've got to get to them before they make the choice. And I think that that's what's really critical here. And it's some, I remember, I think it was 7 or 8 years ago, I was speaking with a really small district in Texas, North Texas. And, they had an open house once a year. It was during the workday and they were getting slammed. And it was just two local private schools. So that's the only thing in the area. And the private schools were like, anytime you want to come, I'm not saying that you have to do the same exact thing that the competition does, but you got to make it easy for people. So, don't put a lot of barriers to the enrollment process, on that. So, okay.
Quick question, Brian.
Yeah.
Given your experience with public schools, we have a question about what is, in your opinion, the best method for someone to put their best foot forward in the public school district in order to win parents over during this whole choice and looking at other options?
Well, I, I think starting, I don't care which foot. Like, I mean, I'm just an old soldier and I try to make things as simple as possible. I always try to get down to the brass taxes. Most people don't start. Most people build plans that I call them credenzaware. They sit on the shelf and gather dust. This data is only so good as if you use it for something. And so I don't care which foot. I don't care if it's a hand. I don't care if you roll. Start building connections. Start communicating. Over communicate. You can't bother people. You don't have the budget. You don't have the time. People get 15,000 messages a day. So what I would say is begin. Don't overthink it. Begin. Start talking to people. Go in there and it's like you're given a tour of the school, and that's a great start. Do tours. But then stop talking about everything you're bad at in those tours. Stop beating yourself up so much. You're awesome and you're beautiful and your schools are great. They're a public good, for Pete's sakes. And then we go in there and kind of beat ourselves up. Don't ignore the cobwebs in the corner. And then you can start to refine it once you've started. But don't wait for you to design a perfect tour to start giving tours. Start giving tours. Do them as much as you can without disrupting the education process. And then you can make it better. And I think people at perfect be the enemy of better too much. I would say I've seen too much reports, too many studies. It's like a consultant. I think, Adrian, you've heard me say this. I don't hire consultants. Okay. Don't hire somebody to tell you what you already know. A consultant is the kind of person that they want to borrow your watch. They ask to borrow your watch and then they want to charge you to tell you what time it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you need action. You need action, but intelligence is really valuable. Get some intelligence, but don't let it wait so long that you're not utilizing it. Okay. So, and speaking of that, what matters most? So let's talk about how to use it. Well, what I would encourage you to do, we can do this for you. You can do it yourself. Some teams have got great survey and communications teams. Take these questions, use them. Call me up. I'll give you free advice and I'll play with the poll with you a little bit with your internal team. I love that. And frankly, we've had a lot of school communications teams help build these polls over the years. Refine questions. I'm not going to give them credit because they're not here today. But no, we've had some really excellent partners in public schools. Go, Brian, let's change it. Let's refine the question. Let's do this. Let's do this. But this is what I want you to do. I want you to go get good intelligence. And you need to know what your parents in your community want. This is statewide. School safety is number one. Student success is number two. School reputation, number three. That's interesting to me. That's a little higher than in other areas. The school reputation kind of matters. I didn't say the district reputation. Please notice the district reputation is down here. People get recruited to schools, not to districts. District reputation will kill you if it's bad. I mean, it'll slaughter you. But it's not where you should put your energy. Your energy should be in the individual schools. And they all got something really great. I would say that some things that have dropped over the years as far as what's important to families, location. Neighborhood schools used to be all the draw. They're just, location could be close to work, in between home and work, whatever. But the location can be closer to their friends. But location is not the thing anymore. Now, don't know what school safety and student success mean in your district. I don't know what that means. So be careful. You can't just say, we're going to make them successful. Some areas go in the military success. Some areas college. Sometimes a great trade school. Sometimes just getting them to move out of the house and pay their own bills is a success. It's different for every family. It's going to be different in every community. So you need to kind of dig into that a little bit more. But I am telling you this, in every poll in every district, safety and success are always in the top three. Every district, everywhere. But the refinement's a little different. What that means, you should dig into that, because I don't want you to start selling school safety and you think it's bullying and really it's gun violence, or you start focus on gun violence, but really the safety is
Parent access to
whatever, or IDs at the front gate, whatever it is. Like you need to kind of know, generally speaking, what that means in your own community. Okay, so dig into that one. But notice, location's not that big. I found the transportation. Adrian, you're going to find this interesting because you know what a big deal it is for us on transportation. Parents say 12%. That's what's important is transportation. But we also know if transportation isn't available, it's your game over.
That's right.
It's game over. So it may not be that important, but if it's not there, death knell. Makes sense?
That's correct.
Okay. So let's talk about a couple other things that are super, super important. No surprise, teachers and staff, the people, so important. And I think that we talk in our messages and our communications, we talk about the things that we think are important to us or them. Everybody kind of gets frowned upon in public schools because of class size. Like that's always, I hear, we can't compete with them because we don't have, our class sizes are too big. Well, number one, there's no data. I'd love somebody to send me something. Prove me wrong. There's no data that says that class size alone has significant impact on the child's future. Couldn't find it. I know we think that emotionally, but there's just no data. It's about the whole collective of the entire school experience. Do you have a speech pathologist? Do you have a counselor? Do you have great sports programs? Do you have extracurricular? It's the combined force of it. So it's just not class size alone, but your competition will recruit for class size because sometimes that's all they have. They have small classes. That's all they've got, regardless of test scores. So they lean on that, which makes us think we need to. And I'm saying you don't have to. I wouldn't. Teachers and staff, you've got the best. Certified teachers, trained, experienced, people that care. They're not doing it for the money. I would really lean into that in the communications. I thought that was really clear. Check your individual districts for sure. And then, no surprise, curricular and academic programs, because that leads to success. But look at this. Communication with parents. Communication with parents. Number three. You got to over communicate. And somebody's going to say this to you one day in the comms departments and schools. We don't want to bother them. You can't. I'm going to tell you again. Bother them. Not bother them with wasted stuff that doesn't help. It's just, blah, blah, blah. But you got to let them know what's going on. It's better to send out that weekly email. What happened at school this week? Parents will read that stuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Oftentimes we hear so many times when our team is engaging with families that parents are just unaware of some of the great things that are happening in the district. I mean, programs and just different extracurricular activities that families just are unaware of.
Yeah, we make too many assumptions about communication. Yeah. Assume that they do not know. And you go, do the parents? Nope. Just assume they don't and communicate it. And that's the safest spot possible. So yeah, I think that's a pro tip for the day. All right.
Quick question, Brian.
Yep.
How does your communication with parents compare to your national poll results?
Oh, heck. Let's see. Oh, somebody. Yeah, that's a good one. So I do have some national data points here that I want to hit. So Texas, outside the margin of error, expects you to communicate with the parents more than nationally. That's pretty interesting, right? And another thing on this national thing that I didn't speak to was this school reputation matters less in Texas than it does nationally. 52% to 40%. Okay, so 52% of parents, the school reputation matters. Texas, they're a little bit more suspect. Well, that's good, but you know what I care about more? Teachers and staff, the individual one-on-one relationship, the individual community. They want a little bit more individualized attention in Texas. I think that's what I'm gleaning from this. I didn't really think. I'm gonna process that a little bit more and look at some other points. But it feels like right now it's a safe assumption. No, I hate assumptions. It's safe intelligence to assume that they want a little bit more personal attention, right? By a margin of 12 points. So that's statistically valid. All right. Yeah. And by the way, in Texas, class size matters less than it does nationally. Nationally, it was 29%, Texas 22. So that's outside the margin of error also. So that means class size is just not, student success is more important in Texas than it is nationally by a margin of 7 points. So yeah, but so communication, individual rights and all that's a very, very important. Great question. I don't know who asked that, but send them a note. Okay. So we got teachers and curriculum. We hit that. Now we have this. Okay. I like to ask the questions in a few different ways. I like to ask the closed-ended question so we can actually like do statistical validity and give you these awesome charts, right? I like to retest the question with open-ended questions sometimes just to see if anything new pops up. Well, we asked this open-ended question, what factors do you consider the most important to you? Same thing, but we didn't box them in. Same thing, safety, academic, teacher quality number, curriculum, location and transportation, special education, extracurricular, same general thing. So there was no new, like, I'm always surprised when there's something new that pops in. And I go, oh my gosh, I never would have thought that was interesting. And if it's individual district and you ask this open-ended question like this, and you get something that's way out there, dig into that data a little bit more. Dig into was it a significant number of people that answered that way? And then you might have to retest with that question kind of being in the choices that you give them. But I love open-ended questions. It gets a little overwhelming to do the data points, and I can't give you percentage, but safety, success, those are the top two. Teacher quality was the top one, right? So I think those are your top three in Texas. I think there's safety, success, teacher quality, which public schools have a massive competitive advantage on. Okay, that's pretty good. All right. Ooh, all right. Let's talk about school vouchers and school choice. Remember, this is not a poll of voters. This is not all voters. This is of families with school-age children. Okay, so somebody's going to go and they say 64% of the people support vouchers. 60% of people with 64% of families in Texas support vouchers. All right, so your families, even the ones that are going to your school right now, support vouchers. 25% oppose it. You're not going to get rid of vouchers. They're going to grow. They're going to expand. And the way that the Texas law works right now with vouchers, it's going to continue to expand from $1 billion, I think, to about $7 billion, they estimate, maybe $8 billion in the next 3 to 5 years. Out of Texas total budget, Adrian, for school-age children it's a little hard to track it depending on the columns. It's a little over $100 billion with a B.
Wow.
So $100 billion. So $7 billion, think 7% roughly. That has impact, but it's going to go from 1% to 7%. So that 6%, whoop, that's going to hit.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, but yeah, it's about $100 billion in the state of Texas, give or take. Somebody can send me the exact numbers if they've got it, but based on my last check. So they support vouchers. Don't argue about whether or not vouchers are good or not good. They're cool with it. You can be cool with it and still win. All right. All right. So, we tested this, which statement best reflects your view? And 40%, we need more school options and vouchers are a good start. The funny thing is 10%, it's 9%, Adrian, right in that 9-11%. We don't have vouchers in our state. They just don't know.
I don't know.
They don't know. They're not sure. It's just interesting. And that's fair. I mean, I can't pay attention to everything in the world. Neither can they. All right.
We saw that in the Florida poll too.
Yep. Florida has vouchers now too. That was the last one we did. And we love it.
Yeah.
They don't know about it yet, but they'll know about it as time goes on. Okay. As the competition begins to really push out that they exist, they're going to really market the heck out of these things. So, okay. How many people would consider a voucher? How many people would consider a voucher? 67%. If a voucher program were available, and it is, they just don't know about it, or they don't know how it works, haven't done the mechanics, haven't gotten around to it. 67% said they'd likely to use it. 30% very likely. That's a big, big number, 30%. Okay. So, and then once again, not likely at all, 100%. They're just not going to do anything. Okay. It's just to say, it's just interesting. I always think that's right. I'm waiting for that number to change at some point, but it's been really consistent for about 20 years for me. All right. Now, I started digging into this a couple years ago, and it was, what are people's perceptions on it? Because I believe that public schools are a public good, and the more children that have great education and that every child's educated, regardless of whatever, it creates better citizens, more adults, less people on the tax rolls as adults that can be prosperous citizens. I think that's the goal of education, is to get as many people smart, dedicated, so they can feed themselves. I mean, like simplistically, like that's maybe that's selfish of me, right? I'm trying to figure out how selfish other people are, but they're kind of coming at it the opposite way because we haven't educated them yet, and we need to work on that. And 35% of families say that vouchers give families more choices, improve overall education. 35%. That's not a majority. 21% in Texas say that vouchers take resources from public schools and harm most students. They don't care. They don't care. And you have 32% that says, yeah, it harms it too. So you have 53%, 54% of the families say it does some harm, but we want it anyway. 54% says it will do harm, but 68% we want it. So we don't care if it provides harm if we get the benefit. That, look, I get it. American land of the individual, especially Texas, right? Especially land of the individual rights. I love it, and I'm red-blooded American, a soldier, and I believe in it. But man, it's really short-sighted. The problem is it's short-sighted because the 52% that say it's okay with harm, but I'm going to benefit now means you're going to be paying for these children later, whether you like it or not. And I just finished an entire podcast on that, which will be out in the next few weeks, by the way, on is public education a public good and the long-term effects of that. And so you may want to check that out at some point. And so that just bothers me. 52% said it's going to cause some harm, but we're cool with it. Like, why don't we design it and build it in a way that it doesn't harm? Let's work on that, which it can be done. Not a topic for today. Okay, I got to keep going. I want to get out of here and see if we can answer a few questions too. Okay. Here's the other thing, and this is the balance. It may cause harm, but what can we do about it? 78% say the same oversight that public schools, somebody that takes taxpayer dollars in the form of vouchers, those schools should have the same oversight. So if you take state money, we want the same rules. You don't have it in Texas right now. But somebody goes, what? You don't have the same rules. You don't have FOIA requests. You don't have publicly elected boards. You can't see the budgets. The testing requirements are different. I mean, they don't certify teachers, all these rules are totally different. You're creating two different parallel education systems, one with a ton of rules, one with little rules. I don't care which way Texas goes, but they should be the same. I mean, that's my point, is I just don't like hypocrisy. And right now, Texans agree with me. Texans agree with Lil Brian Stevens. 78%. Remember, 10% hate everything. 80% is basically like 90%, right? 78% say they should have the same rules. They should have the same rules. We should have pretty close to the same rules. And I dug into it a little bit more, Adrian. Dug into it a little bit more, which is financial reporting and transparency. 85%. You take taxpayer money, you better do financial reporting and have transparency. Don't have it yet. 85%, you got to accept students with disabilities. Now, let me give some prompts to Texas right now. Texas in their voucher program did offer a voucher program 30,000, which is, I think that the state one was like 8 or 9 or something like that. I can't remember that, but I do remember the 30,000 for children with disabilities. Texas is like the first one that's done that. Like, they're trying to take care of the children with some disabilities. Kudos to Texas for doing that. I hope other states follow that. That was good, man. We got to take care of all the kids, right? Teacher certification. Yeah, 83% say they want it. Why are we giving taxpayer money to schools that don't do it? Student testing and accountability. 78%. So they want the same rules. And that is a major takeaway for any lobbyists, any people meeting with legislators. That is really, really critical thing. And that's something that I think over the next few years, the state legislature would be awesome to correct, right? Okay.
Quick question, Brian, from district leadership. How did the equity question about financial openness and transparency reflect and change with the national report?
Oh, heck, I don't have that answer, and I don't have that answer in front of me. So I'm sorry. We'll have to respond to them after the word. So just get their thing and we'll send it to them, or we could send it out. But I just don't have that in front of me right now. I don't think I do. Right? Sorry, everybody. That was a really, really good question, and I know supports vouchers 68 to 64%. Want public oversight, nationally 82% to Texas's 78%. Would use a voucher. It's about the same nationally. It looks like these numbers are pretty similar to the national numbers. I think that's why I didn't write it.
Yeah.
They're similar to the national numbers. There, do I sound smart?
Yes.
All right. I just wanted to check it before I guessed. Okay. Almost done. Almost done. And we can hit a few questions and we'll do that for about another 5 minutes. And thank you for joining us. I hope this intelligence helps. All right. We got the question now. Equity and parents are split. Equity and parents are split. So do voucher programs benefit all families? 35% believe vouchers benefit all families equally. 51. I think I just covered this enough. Actually, I did cover this enough. Okay. So we hit that. So that's your data. That's your intel. National poll. It's a big overview of a big state. It's 4.9% margin of error. You know who we polled. And I hope that this intelligence helps. And if you want to take the questions, you want to email us and have us just for fun, help her find a poll that you want to put out. Awesome. If you want us to do one for you, even better. And some of the polls for certain districts, especially in Texas, get a little bit more nuanced than this. They really do. They really dig in, which I think is really appropriate. We've been in Texas now for, since the inception, about 9 years. About 9 years. All right. I think we have time for 1 or 2 more questions if you want to hit a couple.
Yes, we have a couple here. If a superintendent can only take one number or one key takeaway from this entire survey that you showed today, what would that be that they can take back to their leadership team?
Let me pull the slide up. Wait. Nope. 67%. 67% would consider using a voucher. They're open. They're really open to shop. That's the number. I'd be like, hey guys, this is in Texas, statistically valid. This is it. They're shopping. We've got to step up our communications game, building trust and letting people know how awesome we are. Right?
Okay. Yeah. Brian, I just received a text from a district official that been having some conversations with over the last couple of months around student recruitment and what their district is facing. And, the response to this data is very interesting. Some of the things they were aware of, so they just kind of validated what they thought. But being a district where there's a lot of school choice, what should they do now with this data? What's an action item that they can do as a district?
I think one, don't get frustrated about the new reality. You can compete. You can do it. I mean, you don't have to just accept a degrading student population. And I think the last couple of years, districts have started to turn the corner on that. It used to be in our infancy, AB, that districts just thought they couldn't compete, and that's just not true. I would say figure out what you're awesome at. The top 3 things. You can't do 20. You can't do a list of 20 things. I mean, 3 things for every individual school. So that's a lot.
There you go.
Individual schools that you're recruiting to. 3 things that they're awesome at. Don't tell me they're not awesome. If you have a school, we're not awesome at 3 things, call me. I will fly down there on my own nickel. I will find 3 incredible things I have every single time. But sometimes we can get in our own little fishbowl. And so get those 3 things and then train that entire school on this is why we rock. This is why we rock. This is why we're awesome. This is why we're awesome. And then they're going to start to communicate that naturally. And then once that's going, then you can formulate a more complex plan and implement it. Right. But I want you to get started right now. And the first thing I would say to people is just start over communicating to parents, start building that trust and let them know why you rock. Let them know why you're great. It was a school in Texas. They said this to me, Adrian, we don't have anything to celebrate. And I was like, let's walk around. Let's go check it out. And I did. I drove down there and all this stuff. There were some mountain bike trails nearby, so I was all right. And we were walking through the football field over to the schools were middle school and a high school kind of close by. We were walking over there. And I saw this drone go. Now this was 5 or 7 years ago. Like drones weren't a huge thing. I go, what is that? What is happening? He goes, oh, we have a drone program that we teach people how to use drones. They get a certification and they go work in these Amazon warehouses. I go, what do they make? He's like, $75,000. This is rural Texas, panhandle type stuff or close to it. It's like, that's incredible. How come nobody knows about it? What, I think it was a great idea. It's unbelievable. It's stellar. It's very cool. There's always something cool, but we have a tendency to kind of beat ourselves up a little too much on what we're not doing great. So I think here's my takeaway. I want to keep this 45 minutes today. If you have additional questions, please email them to Elizabeth@CASAPS.com, CASAPublicStrategy.com. That's our parent company. And is that you can do it. You can compete, get good intel. Don't have to get crazy with it. Figure out those top 3 drivers. The human brain cannot remember more than 3 things before it has to use it or lose it. That's enough for a parent to consume them. If you hook them with one of the 3, you can explain, you'll have time to explain more stuff to them. All right. So dig in and just know you can compete. All right. Adrian, thanks for coming.
Thank you. Look, this has been great information. I'm glad I was, in town to be able to hear it. So thank you, Brian.
I'm glad you're in town too.
Good job, Carolyn.
Now get back out there. And Elizabeth now.
Elizabeth, I'm sorry.
Elizabeth is producer now for the whole. For
I think Caroline just texted me. That's
hey, look. Elizabeth has been a producer for a whole year now. And
Gotta go, Elizabeth.
He's getting old, everybody. He's getting old. Hey, thanks for joining us. If you have any questions, we're here for you. We have some information on the podcast you might want to go check out too, some older stories. And if you have a good topic you want us to cover, we'll dig in and do it. We just want to be helpful. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.